have any passions that you would like to talk about in this forum?
Don't be shy. We'll all think it's a great idea here.
Exactly.
How many? Okay, I gotta ask because I gotta wake her up. How many guys know who Sean Bell is?
Sean Bell.
Who's Sean Bell?
Oh yeah, I know.
Just somebody say it. What? That guy from the news? Who?
An African American who got shot by the cops.
He was shot on his wedding day.
Yeah.
Okay, and what happened What happened a week and a half ago?
The cops were acquitted.
Okay. Do you guys care?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. What do you care about?
That the cops
I'm gonna keep pulling teeth until you. Huh?
No one got in trouble for it.
No one got in trouble for what? They're cops.
Miscarriage of justice.
The cops.
But they killed Sean Bell.
I'm sorry?
The miscarriage of justice.
What is miscarriage of justice?
Means that, justice obviously didn't serve itself there in that particular situation.
They child, you get to understand, he's like some people could be an exception of the system because they killed a guy, but nothing happened, parole him up. They got scot free, showing people that you could probably be a cop or something like that. Putting more influence on.
Real quick, the case was this man was on his wedding day. He was out at a strip club the night before, the morning before he was getting married. Well, it was his wedding day. It was 5 o'clock in the morning on his wedding day. He was going to get married in like 3 hours, 4 hours. The police officers were actually staking out this club for a larger sting. They were unsuccessful in the bust that they were trying to make. They were frustrated. Whatever the case, there was an altercation. There was a confrontation inside the club. The patrons left the club. They were confronted by the cops. There's a dispute whether or not the police identify themselves as cops. There's a dispute as to whether or not the victims said anything about mentioned a gun, which might have put the cops at ill ease. When told to stop, I think Sean Bell accelerated the car, hit one of the cops. The cops started shooting. 50 shots later, or 100 shots later, or whatever, Sean Bell was killed, and his other two friends were injured. Of course, there's a dispute in the courts whether it is a miscarriage of justice. But the reason why I brought that up, whatever you believe in, you have an opinion. These cops were acquitted of any wrongdoing. Whether you're yay or nay, you read the paper that day, and you had a reaction to that paper. Now my problem is not enough of us are saying whether or not we have an opinion about that issue. Or on the flip side, everybody's shocked about it and they want to go out and protest or block traffic because cops were acquitted for any wrongdoing. Now I want to ask one more question. Has anybody ever heard of Grand Theft Auto?
Yeah.
Raise your hand if you've heard of Grand Theft Auto. Raise your hand if you know somebody that has at least one of these games. Grand Theft Auto came out, was released to the nation, to the world, for sale on the first business day after the acquittal of these cops. Does anybody see a correlation? Does anybody find that ironic? Does that spark a reaction among anybody in this room? As young people who potentially could be stopped by cops for any reason at all. Does that strike a chord with anybody? Or did you not see the connection at all?
I just think it's a
What's Grand Theft Auto about?
Grand Theft Auto.
I'm sorry? Stealing cars, right?
Getting money.
And is it stealing cars like white-collar crimes? Like I go in and I sign a fake piece of paper and I walk out of the dealership with a bunch of cars with a
Just
suit on?
open the door, take the person out.
And what happens if they don't comply?
You don't go where you
Okay.
No.
Now I'll ask. I'm sorry. What?
In the game, the white guy runs and the Hispanic or black guy fights back.
You're proving my point. I love it. What's your name? Jose. You're proving my point. I gotta go, but I'm saying this because we are having a very sober conversation, which we're telling you what we do, and it's. I understand that these are concepts that you have to convince yourself as a young person. I am interested in this. I am interested in following through with this. But the thing that I think, the reason why I brought this example up is because when I found out on that Monday that America's response, and black as a person. You wore black too. But when I see the billboards for Grand Theft Auto, and I really want to ask this question again, does anybody see the correlation between the release, the commercial release of this game, and the possible miscarriage of justice that was made public right before the release of this game? Can anybody speak on that? Does it bother? Does it bother anybody? Does it strike a chord?
Before I answer your question, aren't the game's release dates released in advance?
What are you talking about?
Yes.
The
Yeah,
game
they
is
are.
going to be released.
The
in
day was
advance.
decided.
No, I'm not saying it was done on purpose.
I'm saying-
Yes, you're right. They are released in advance.
But the day that was
But
decided.
it's a very interesting connection.
Well,
right?
consumers could have chosen not to go purchase the game on the release day
Yeah.
as part of how they.
Thank you.
Well, let me just draw a parallel. Now, how many of you have heard of Rodney King? Okay, so
Amadou Diallo.
Who?
Amadou Diallo.
He got shot.
okay,
You live No, it's not.
so the Rodney King thing. 1991, Rodney King is zooming through Los Angeles about like 90 miles per hour. He's being chased by a whole bunch of white police officers, and essentially, he's probably on PCP or some other drug. They finally get him pulled over, and they spend about 90 seconds beating him with sticks, and it's all recorded on tape. And after this event, they go on trial, and they're eventually acquitted of any sort of civil rights violation. So Los Angeles erupts in flames. There are riots for about another 48 hours. People are killed. Korean stores are torched. I mean, the entire city just gone. And so, it's the worst riots in U.S. history at that point. And now that was a reaction of the community. And it was partly a reaction to the police brutality, the very, very bad dynamics, the relationship between the police in Los Angeles and the community. Here that didn't happen. There were no riots. There was no one going out. I mean, there were marches.
Sharpton's talking about shutting down a bridge. I guess my point is, Veronique made a very, very important point. My reaction is that we are selling, and I say we, because we let it happen, we are selling a game that is based on violence and carjacking to a market of people that are being targeted by the police, that are being targeted by the military, that are being targeted by the United States government. And I know that some people would say that that's a stretch, but I cannot avoid making that connection, especially with the timeliness of the release of the
It's
game.
no more stretch than Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris writing on a website that they're going to go kill everyone in Columbine High School and playing Doom simultaneously,
Right,
and
it's the
trying
same-
to
it's the
kill as
same-
many people as possible.
Right.
What I'm hearing as a comment, like, the reason why these guys are all talking about this is because to inspire you guys is there a call to action for you?
Or is there a thought in your mind besides, hey, I gotta go buy this new video game because it's really cool? Or, oh wow, Sean Bell, that's such a shame. Now I'm gonna go buy the video game because, I mean, come on.
This is depressing me and I need to play.
Because if you don't know your rights and you don't know how to deal with the cops and you don't know how to deal with authority as you grow up, you might be the sweetest person in the world. But I mean, you're out having a good time and before you know it, you're in a situation that you can't get out of. And are you going to be thinking about your training from Grand Theft Auto? Or are you going to be thinking about how you've been trained and you know how to deal with authority and you know how to deal with your peers and you know how to communicate with people that you are from outside of your community?
Jason?
Can I ask how each one of your organizations, where does it get its funding from?
Yeah, sure. Well,
We're a public company, so for-profit.
You're a for-profit.
I work for a nonprofit. We get funding from individuals and foundations and city money as well, but it's a nonprofit.
And Action is a for-profit event agency, which is a really big thing to say because it's just me. And it's my money right now. So I'm not taking a salary. I drive a 99 Chevy Cavalier. I don't own a house. So that's where I put the money that I have. And
So she has lots of social capital.
Yes.
that's right.
And notice she was talking about Nike and Pepsi.
They have the money.
They have money.
They have the money.
But they're trying to look for
I'm
ways to
curious
spend
as
it.
to the source of your question.
Don't you think if you're trying to combat the proliferation of poverty and injustices that counting on a company that sort of is facilitating poverty, injustice
Very
through
good point.
foreign direct investment and sweatshops, that it's counterintuitive a little bit?
question a lot, and it's a good question. The way I look at it is, it takes money to do things. And when I look at companies, there are some that are more socially, ethically, morally conscious than others. And within that, every company spends millions, especially the big companies, on marketing and advertising. And what is advertising? It is them saying, I want to spend time with you. I want to spend time with you. I want to spend time with you. You have a bull's eye on your forehead, and I'm coming after you. All I'm saying is, you know, I want some of those advertising dollars, some of those marketing dollars, so that my value proposition to them is, wouldn't you rather spend a meaningful moment in time